And I had, I was motivated to talk about this today. First of all, it's interesting, but to me, today was a very sad day. It's not anything new, really, but it's a day in which it's becoming official, and I may even have greater implications that the Haredi world is, so to speak, seceding in a way from the rest of society. Whether or not they're going to bring down the government, it's supposed to be, the vote was today, I don't know if it's still going to be, not going to be. I mean, most of the country, even those who might theoretically be somewhat sympathetic to the Haredi position, are furious that they're doing this in the middle of the war.
I think it's awful.
And in particular, there was a very, I don't know if you saw, there was a joint psak halacha, so-called, signed by many leading halakhic authorities in the Sephardic Haredi world, Hasidic world,
Right.
that it's absolutely forbidden to go to any form of the army, whether you're learning, whether you're not learning, whether you have anything to do,
Haredi unit or not Haredi
anything
unit.
like that.
I don't understand.
No way. And we have to separate ourselves because only Torah is what helps. And the fact that there's a lot of Torah being learned in the Shivot Hesder,
Yeah.
by all this, that's like, no, it's Torah, it's not even in the conversation. And I find that very sad, infuriating. I can think of a few other words. I'll just stick with sad. And I thought that there's something that this year has something to say about that, at least it's indirectly. So in this year, basically, he was taking two different aspects of what we talk about at this time of year. One of them, Parshas Behaaloscha, that we're going to be looking at, and also in Pirkei Avot. And in Pirkei Avot, it's interesting. There's many things in Pirkei Avot that are, of course, we all love Pirkei Avot. There's so much wisdom in many things, but there's certain themes that come again and again, the same theme. And one of the interesting ways to read Pirkei Avot, by the way, I have a whole series of books based on it. But Pirkei Avot is also one of the ways to get to know a little bit of the history of the period of the Tanaim, because it starts, as we all know, it starts Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai, but even after that, you get to see different things that were said at different times, in the middle of the second base of English, towards the end, during the Roman times, and you can, if you want to trace that out, and apply it a little bit to, okay, this was Rabbi Akiva, what was going on in his day, and why would he have said this thing? A lot of interesting things to say about that. So one of the themes that comes, however, throughout, okay, is a very similar theme, and let's look at that. And the first source is there. Shammai v'Avtalya, Shmai v'Avtalya. Who was Shmai and Avtalya? They were fairly early. Like they were about the 4th or 5th generation, and etc. I would say they were just after the Hanukkah story, historically, more or less.
They were Gavin, right?
What? They were Gavin, yeah. What did they have to say?
Were they Gavin or they came from Gavin?
I think they were.
They came. They were where they came from.
I'm not sure. I thought they were Gavin, but whatever. So they said, Ehov et hamalacha usna et harabanut. Love work, hate the rabbanut. See, that's what we're doing today.
Whoa.
You know, the hard part is when I first learned the Mishnah.
What?
I first started yeshiva, I was 16. I learned that, I thought that's what it meant. Hate the rabbis.
Hate the rabbis.
I did, that's what it meant.
Okay. Maltis vadal rishus, and don't get too close to the people of government. There are many understandings of Shnas HaRabbanut. I love the commentary of the Kotzker Rebbe, who said that, advice to rabbis, he said, like the malacha of being a rabbi, hate the rabban, the trappings that you should etc. Being wearing the long white, the coats and all that, You should enjoy the malacha. Okay. But the point is, love malacha, to love work. That's a positive ethic, right? And you should hate the idea that you're standing as rabbanut. One understanding of it, of course, is that you're the rabbi divorced from society, from getting involved in regular, you should be involved with, etc. So they were very early. The next mission is Rabbi Gamliel ben Moshe Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi. What generation was that? Many generations later, by about 6 generations later. Okay? Rabbi Gamliel, the son of as he said, famous Mishnah, Yafet Talmud Torah Derech Eretz. Rabbi Pierce certainly took that as a slogan. Talmud Torah Derech Eretz is important. Sheyigia Shneihem Mishakach HaSalom. Because by busy with both of them, both with learning Torah and with the Derech Eretz, we can spend an hour talking about what Derech Eretz means, but simply it means normal life, getting involved with normal, regular work, etc. You need both of them. V'chol Torah she'enim malacha. If you have Torah that doesn't go with work, sofa b'teila b'gorer saba. The Torah will, in the end, be cancelled. It will cause sin. Okay, and you should be busy with them, with doing things l'shem shamayim for the tzibur. Okay. Rabbi Tzadok Omer. Who was Rabbi Tzadok? He was sort of in the middle. He was famous Rabbi Tzadok was at the time of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, where he went down. We had that whole showdown with Vespasian,
right?
And he said, then he asked for 3 things. One of the 3 things he asked for was a doctor for Rabbi Tzadok, who had fasted for 40 years, so to speak, with the Torah. So he's in between these. What does he say? Al ta'aseh ma'torah l'hisgadol b'hem. Don't use the Torah as a way to crown yourself. Oh, I'm a Torah scholar, I'm busy. Below kardim machbarim, don't use them as an axe to grind to make your pronouncement from. And Hillel will say about that, back to Hillel, right? Tishtamish b'tag ha'chalaf. Somebody who uses the Torah, the crown, is going to die from it. Okay? That if you're using the Torah as a way of divorcing yourself from the world, you're taking your life out of the world. Okay? So we see this is as a recurring theme, kind of. And then, there's much discussion of it. But certainly one of the people who talked about it the most was the Rambam. It's always very funny to me that when you speak to guys who are learning Abrechim, etc., why they should be learning, so they always quote, we're following the Rambam. Okay? Which the Rambam in the end of Hilchos Shemitah V'Yova says that somebody who wants to make themselves like Shem and Levi and separate themselves from the world, they can be holy, etc. And that's their main primary source for that Kol is a nice idea. And I think anybody who knows anything about the Rambam's ideas about these things, whatever you can say, Rambam is not your man.
He had a job. He worked.
He's not your man to say that Kol is a good idea. He was very against it. And as is this text, do we have one still?
Yeah, here's another one.
Source 2 there. One of many things the Rambam says, and this is Nechas Talmud Torah, he says, Kol ha-mesim al-libo sheyasik b'torah v'lo yasem malacha v'yisparnis min tzedakah. Somebody puts on his heart that he's going to be busy with Torah and not work and supply and then be supported by tzedakah. And that's not just not a great idea. Hare is a chilul es Hashem. Right? Ubiza es a Torah. He's embarrassing the Torah. Kava ma'or hadas. He's causing the light of the religion to go out. Gorim ra la'atzmo, causes bad for himself. It's forbidden to be with Torah. And he goes on, etc. Skipping to the next paragraph. It's a great thing if a person can have parnasa from the work of their hands. It is the midah of the great early pious ones who would insist that they would want to be involved with, also with working, with through this you get all the covenant in this world, the next world, as it says, Yegia kapecha kitochel ashrecha v'tovlos. If you eat from the sweat of your brow, that will be good for you, and in this world, the next world, ashrecha b'olamazet tovlecha b'olamabel yom shekul tov. And the Rambam goes on and on. If you look at the Rambam's commentaries on some of these Mishnayos, he's, like I said, whatever you say about Kol, the Rambam is not your man to say that Kol helps the right is, etc. Well, how do you learn Pshat and Shmita v'Yovel, etc. Beyond the scope today, but it's a very interesting idea. So, the basic, idea that the ideal is to, divorce yourself from this world, to etc. to just be involved with Torah. Is that a good thing? Is it not a good thing? One of the famous things, the Kesef Mishnah, who was really Rabbi Yosef Kara, Shulchan Aruch, on this Rambam here, he says, what do we do? We have rabbis today, we have other people, teachers. How do they function? So he basically says, well, the Rambam is right, but I'm going to say to a rabbi, we're not up to that level. And if we don't have people today, we can pay, that they should be more full-time rabbis and teachers. We're not going to be able to survive as Torah's scholars. So we need to have. It's a sort of a Eislasos Lashem, it's a Shasat Chak, whatever. I forget which lashon he uses, but certainly far from ideal. Ideally, the Rambam is great. And again, even assuming that you need people who are going to actually be teachers and rabbis and functionaries, does that mean you need 800,000 people learning the Torah? I don't know. Especially people who have no intention of ever really doing anything for the larger community. They're just learning basically for their own personal Torah work. Is that justified? Is it not justified? These are all very, very important questions, especially in the context today of the crisis that Am Yisrael is in, and what started with maybe understandably after the Holocaust, where we needed to rebuild the Torah world, and we're only talking about a few hundred, maybe a few thousand people, versus today, where it's
60,000.
Hundreds of thousands. And even, like I said, even if you're absolutely not learning, still can't go to the army, still can't do these things. It's very, very hard to understand. So this is a background. Be interesting, I think, a little bit to look at a very jarring part of Parshas Behaaloscha. Parshas Behaaloscha is what's been going on in Sefer Bamidbar?
No, we just
Up until now.
Inauguration of the Mishkan, basically.
Inauguration of the Mishkan. Everybody was told exactly where you're going to be. It's very interesting that everybody knew exactly who they were, which camp they were, etc. Where it says elsewhere in Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, you need to know where you came from and where you're going. It was very clear. You didn't have to have those odd answers in Pirkei Avot to know that. Everybody knew, etc. And everything is getting set up, and etc. And everything's ready. And then beginning of Parshas Behaaloscha, and basically we have a whole discussion there of as they're getting ready to start marching, basically leave Sinai, and where they're going, Eretz Yisrael. Right? As it said, how long is it supposed to take?
Rabbi David Foreman said 11 days.
11 days.
Should have been there in 11 days.
Well, just Rabbi Foreman. Chumash says so.
That's right.
Right? 11 days it's supposed to be. Right? And they start going, and then they stop. It's a little stop because they want meat on the way. All right, that takes them a month. It was a type of thing. Okay, but then they're going again, and all of a sudden, and then we have they're going, and we have the beautiful psukim of Vayhi b'tzoah Aaron, Vayomar Moshe, Kumash Avivutza Bechor, Okay, with the upside down nuns, the whole
Oh, yeah.
thing within itself, why those psukim are important. Everything seems to be moving. Finally, we put the ego behind us, right? That had delayed things after all. As we spoke about a few times, arguably the whole reason that it was necessary to set up the Mishkan was sort of as a reaction account, either a kapara or a different way, after the ego. Done, finished, moving. Okay? And we're going to Eretz Yisrael. We're going, and we're going, and we're going, and it looks like the rest of Sefer Bamidbar, they fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Are they rejecting?
First they have Vayiyam Kimit Onini. And then we have the whole business with the Kivrus HaTava. And then we have the next thing we know, already next week we're into the Meraglim. And then we have Korach. And then what happened? And then to the point where they're stuck and they ain't going nowhere. They're going to stay there and die there until the next generation's going to go. What happened? And it's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's and it's not very clear exactly what's going on. And the first of those things, right after Vayehi B'Tzoah, it says Vayehi Ha'am Kimit Odenim. Rabba Aznei Hashem, Be'inei Hashem. And then the people were Bitonenim. Kimitonenim.
Complaint.
Okay. What does Kimitonenim mean?
Like
Mitonenim means they were murmuring, complaining. So what's Kimitonenim? It means like they were murmuring, complaining. A kaf before the word, right?
Yeah.
Like they were complaining. About what? Doesn't say. Rashi says, Kimitonenim, they were looking for something to complain about.
Rebels without a cause.
They were looking for something. They were looking for something to complain about. And there was this, and a bunch of people die. And then they come up with we remember the watermelons and the leeks and all the good stuff we used to eat in Egypt, which is so odd, You're talking to people, not people.
Slaves.
These very people who are saying basically, remember the good old days in Auschwitz? What are they talking about? Right? And it's weird. Right? It's odd. What's going on over here? So, there are many different unfortunately, try to find what this is. But there's one aspect of it which some of them speak to. I wish I had.
Need something? Well,
the Meshach Chochmah says it. He says it. He said, I'll show you what it is. He says there was one big thing that had happened, and maybe they didn't even realize what had happened so much. They'd come to Sinai. At Sinai, after the whole etc., the Egel happened. Okay. And what happened as a result of the Egel? Moshe's upstairs. Hashem says, "Go down, you people messed up." Moshe comes down. He sees the whole camp is in a disarray, and Hashem says, and Moshe stands. Famous pasuk, "Vayama Moshe b'shar hamachana." Moshe stood at the gates of the camp. Vayomer, and he said, what were the famous words? Mila Hashem Elai. Who's going to stand up for God? Come join me.
It's like the
And
Maccabees.
who came? The Levim. Okay. The Levim come. Who didn't come?
Everyone else?
Yeah, other people, but in particular who didn't come.
Bechor?
The Bechor. The Bechorim are the ones who did not come. What are the Bechorim supposed to be? The Bechorim are supposed to be something special. And that's what the Bechor says here, in source 4. If you see, he says he's commenting on the whole part of also what goes on in many of the things that we saw in Sefer Bechor till now, was counted everybody and counting Levi. And then bringing out how many, etc. How many Leviim were there? About 22,000 plus minus 100. How many Bechorim were there? 22,000. Just about exactly the same amount.
273.
Right? There's a small number that made difference. And then what does it talk about? They had to take Bechorim, and each Aaron picked up Bechor and Levi and transferred. Now, the Bechor, what's he doing there? What's he transferring? What? What's he transferring? What is that about?
Rights.
He's transferring the role, basically, that Bechors should have been playing to the Leviim. Because the Leviim stood up and the Bechors did not. There's a famous story that Rav Shimon Schwab used to talk about. And when he was a young man, and he's from Frankfurt, but he went to learn in yeshivas and Litta and Kamenetz, whatever. And he once went to visit the Chafetz Chaim. And Chafetz Chaim greeted him and he said, "Are you a Kohen?" He said, "No." He said, "I'm a Kohen." Famously was a Kohen. He said, "Why aren't you a Kohen?" My father wasn't a Kohen. Okay, why was your father not a Kohen? My grandfather wasn't a Kohen. Why was your grandfather a Kohen? So obviously, he said, why my grandfather was a Kohen, yours wasn't? Because when Moshe stood Shar Machane, my grandfather came. Your grandfather did not. That's why I got to be a Kohen. I got to be a Levi. I got to be somebody special. He missed it. He blew it. And he was, of course, remember, Schwab used to talk about that in terms of, the times we get the opportunity to stand up and be counted, we need to take those opportunities. But in terms of here, what happened was, they were taken and took that role. That's what Meshach Chachma says here. Betziva Livko Yisrael, Ba'alavim, Masos Tegolim, Lahamim Falavim, to wave Lavim, Ba'chakach Nosum Yimid Barsina Yivol B'Para. Okay, then they came. And what happened? Why are they starting to complain? Hitchilu ha'am l'hitonein al ha'hilakach me'itam ha'avoda v'nasnuha la'lavim. They realized they had messed up something. And they had been taken away from them and been given to the Levi.
That's only a small population.
And every family.
Yes and no, but it's every family.
That's affected by that.
Everybody has a firstborn.
Yeah.
Every family had a firstborn. Well, what was the original? Well, we have in our tefillin we wear every day. We have, Kaddish Kol Bechor Peta Korecha. That every Bechor is supposed to be. You have to sanctify the Bechor. Okay? What are you supposed to do with the Bechor? What's the Bechor supposed to be? The Bechor is supposed to be originally the one within each family who would be given certain privileges. You got double portion, etc. He's also supposed to be like the oldest child, supposed to sort of set the tone, and he would be the one in every family who would be their little Kohen, so to speak. The one who would be the religious functionary, that's the wrong word, but the one who would be, originally you didn't have a base of Mikdash, we had a central place, we had, etc. Every family had their own backyard bama, wanted to bring a korban. Every family had their own personal connection. Every family was supposed to be that within regular life was supposed to have an aspect of it of somebody who also was at that level of the one who could bring the korbanos for them.
Wow.
And it's interesting. We have this concept today. We have a pidyon bechor, right? So we've all been to by opinion of that.
We made opinion of
What?
that. We made opinion
You
of
made it,
that.
okay. It's interesting, by the way, if either family, if this comes from Levi, you don't make opinion of that.
Right.
Right. But,
We had a daughter.
yeah. So, I lost my $5.
What?
I lost my $5.
You did.
But, it's interesting. We usually, when people talk about it, why do we do opinion of them? Why do we redeem them? So usually you'll hear because of this, right? That we do the pidyon because you're supposed to have. It was originally supposed to be the Bechor, and then became Levi. So instead of we redeem it, and now the Kohen gets this and transfers and you get the Bechor back and takes off his special thing. That's only partially true. Because if you look in the Parshas Behaaloscha, which is also in the Tefillin, we're at the end of Parshas Behaaloscha, it talks about how the Bechor then was born before the Egel. It says that you're supposed to be poda the Bechor. Right?
Well, that's because
Bechor banecha tifter. It says there.
right, but it's because of Mitzrayim. Wasn't it because
It's Kodesh, right?
because the Mitzrayim where Hashem took care of all the Bechor.
Well, the Hashem sanctified them all. He said, "Kili kol Bechor." On that, especially on that day when all the Bechoros all around the world were in severe danger, Hashem protected them, and they got this special sanctity. Yes, but it also says that's the part that's not as well known. The pidyon of the Bechor was before nothing to do with the Egel, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the Egel. That every Bechor was supposed to be, as some put it, kadosh and podui at the same time. Supposed to be a holy one, but also be podui, right? And what's that mean? Are you kadosh? Are you podui? Redeemed? Because they're supposed to be both. That was the original plan, and that Hashem is the ultimate plan. It says in times of Mashiach, the Bechoros will get some of their stuff back. The idea that we have this that Levi, that they're the religious functionaries, they're the ones who go there. If you want to get connected with the holiness, you have to go to the Beis Hamikdash and make an appointment with the Levi, and maybe he'll accept your thing over there, etc. That's not the idea. The ideal is each family in Klal Yisrael is supposed to have their own kadosh padui, kadosh, but also padui, somebody who works, somebody who is a hovis amalacha, somebody connected with the world, not a divorce thing that we have to have this separate divorce, but it's supposed to be within the context, etc. The Sforno says it actually very beautifully. He says it's not here, but at the by Vidui Meiser, right? The parsha it says that you're supposed to do Vidui for bringing your Meiser, right? So he says the pasuk goes, Biarti hakodesh v'nabayis v'gam nesativ la'levi v'lager le'ezom la'amana k'chol mitzvah she'asizi lo'avar, etc. I took out all the Meiser from the house and I gave it to the Levi. So he says, why is that Vidui? It's a confessing. Not confessing, I did the right thing. It's very interesting. He says, Biarti, I'm saying Vidui because I took out Kodesh min Habayis. It should have been that the Kodesh should have stayed in the house. It should have stayed in each home. Unfortunately, by the Seder Rabbin, we messed up. We because of the Egel and not learning what happened with the Egel and not understanding, because the Egel, after all, the Egel was a disconnect. That was what happened between Hashem and regular life. And then when it came time to fix it, the Bechor said, no. It was only Levi who understood that they have to really, do that kind of work. That's what the Vidui is. Become the Sativ La Levi, the fact that I gave it to the Levi. That's a Vidui. Very interesting story. Right? That they took it out of the house. I guess the main thing I'm trying to give over here is that that really the idea that there should be Levim and people and it's a separate thing. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It's just not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that ideally the Bechorim or Bechoros, I'm not even never sure. I thought Bechoros is correct, plural. People say Bechorim, I don't know. But it's supposed to be that they're representing the fact that what Judaism is really about is integrating in within our own families, and not in a separate class of Levim.
And not like in Christianity where the people are separate.
Yeah.
They don't live a regular life.
You mean like the
The
monks?
priests and nuns and monks.
Yeah. It's supposed to be separate. Like for instance, there's so many sources of that. But like take a look at this source 7, for instance. It says, in commenting on this idea of Ehovas HaMalacha, to like work, to like, in the beginning of Avot. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Af Adam Arisha Lo Ta'am Klum Ad Sha'asa Malacha. He wouldn't eat anything until he did some work. As it says, V'anichei Beis B'Gan Eden L'Avdo L'Shamra. And then it says, to work it, to protect it. He's supposed to eat from them, etc. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give Shechina until they do Malach. It says, V'asuli Mikdash Shechati B'Socha. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beser says, Mi she'ein lo malacha lasos ma yaseh. If a person doesn't have work, so what should they do? Yeshiva answer, go learn the Beis Medrash. That's not the answer here. Im yesh lo chatzer harbe os chareva os dai chareva. You should go busy and clean up your yard. Shenemar, as it says, sheishas yamin tavo tzitzuka malachtecha. How are you going to keep Shabbos if you don't do any work? You have to do some work. Why does it say tzitzuka malachtecha? Not only men, women. It says Ish v'Isha Yasam B'Lacha. In other words, the Torah very much, and this and many other sources, says that we're supposed to take this world and what is it? Now, of course, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beser, we're not saying that a person isn't supposed to spend time and a lot of time in Torah and Tefillah and take them very seriously, of course.
But to be productive.
But we, probably my most favorite quote, all-time quote of the Kotzker, he says, is that it says in the Torah, "Ba'anshe kodesh tiyodli," you should be men of holiness. So he says, what does that mean? He says, "Anshe kodesh is below malachi kodesh." We're not supposed to be angels. He said, I had plenty of angels up there. I created humans because I want humans to be involved with the world, active in the world, active in the importance of the world, and doing this worldly things in a holy way, by infusing it with Kedusha, by infusing it with doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for Klal, for growing, for etc., etc. But that's the way it really ought to be. That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the Hesder model.
Hesder, if it's Hesder, but if it's connected to life, it's not trying to run away from life. It's trying to be with everything that entails in life, which includes work, which includes being a responsible citizen, which includes doing your fair share of the national defense, includes all of these things. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu really wants of us. It doesn't want us to be, like this other group who feel that we don't have to do any of that. We're the ones who are gonna provide the holiness for everybody else. It's just not the ideal thing. So, like I said, for me today is a little bit of a sad day. And I'm afraid, I don't know what's going to happen.
Today's a sad day specifically today?
Yeah, but today we're like this
Before you came in.
with all the, to talk about bringing down the government because, and that the psak, so to speak, that nobody's allowed to be involved with the army, even if they're not learning at all. All kinds of, I don't get it. I don't know how it's sustainable. I don't know how it's not going to be this huge chilul Hashem that's going to just drive people further away. But Kodesh Baruch Hashem have mercy on us. We should find a way to come back to the way that Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to be, which is really within each family to lead the Bechor, to stand up for Hashem while staying within the context of so-called normal life. Okay.
Thank you.
I would be so unable to understand any of this if I were a secular Jew. Like, why should my kids go and bleed, and you're going to sit here and be holy?
I don't think Moshe Rabbeinu understood.
Doug Miller put out some time on the battlefield.
When those two tribes said, we're going to stay in the Transjordan.
Yeah.
They said, well, your brother's going to fight and you're going to stay here.
But they came to fight.
They did.
They did.
Right. So we're going to take the lead.
But they had to be asked. Yeah.
Huh?
He first had to prompt it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel terrible for these reservists that keep getting pulled out over and over.
I had a friend over, just came to visit me the other day from Karnei Shomron. He's telling me, like, within their communities, 11 boys were killed. It's in Karnei Shomron.
I think at Elazar they've had 6 or 7 boys. Why not?
Compare that to what Haredi families go through. It's a different world.
Different world.
Okay.
I wish there